Well, I wasn't going to actually even tape this or record it, but it came out pretty cool. So I made a little box with the proper dimensions of what's in the actual airplane so George can wire it at his house. And basically 36, the shelf's like 21 inches high, the panel is about 19 inches from the firewall, and then I put this kind of yardstick with P-clips on it so we can run the wires into the corresponding sections. I labeled the stations where they are, kind of for reference, and I just put a P-clip in the middle, obviously, where the low fuel sender light's going to go in this case. The ELT is actually, yeah, it's back here. Low fuel sender, and the other highway components are going to be there. The only thing that I haven't mounted yet are the batteries, the backup batteries, but I put 2 notes where those cables are going to go. They even did little cutouts so my super brackets fit in there. Now the only thing I have to make sure of is that this is going to be approved for certified aircraft, my mounting methods here. Kidding on that one. So since the ignition switch is part of the electronics, I figured I'd install that as well. We don't have these switches yet. I'm not sure if we're going to use the plate that they supply and put it in, or if we're going to cut them out individually. Kind of whatever looks better. I don't mind going through the trouble of cutting them out individually. This here was a 7/8 inch hole. Worked beautiful with the hole saw. And what I'm doing now is, because there's a key in here to keep it from turning, I'm actually putting some double-sided tape. I had some wide acrylic tape behind it to keep it from possibly turning. I thought that was a good idea. Obviously I'm going to tighten the nut that's behind there as well. I figured I'd finish up making the little spacers for the ignition module before I put it on that rack for George to wire. Just one less thing to do. So I went out here, and sure enough it's like 6, but just a hair bit off. It's about 6 by 6. I got it all centered or aligned. I drilled those number 30s. This, even though it's very straightforward, is a little bit confusing. And this bolt here goes through the tab. So all of the spacers on the inside are 3, and then we have number 4, which is one of these big washers, to make up on the ones that don't have a tab. I get that. But one of these screws is shorter and has a thick washer, but yet goes through the same thing. So kind of confused as to why that might be. If anything, I would think the one that goes through the tab would be different, but it's only a tad bit shorter too. It's an AN7 versus an AN10, which looks to be, I don't know, negligible. But anyway, I'll do it the way they say, and I'm sure there's a reason. They're smarter than I am. All right, the 2 beauties are installed. Got all those things. I made my washers, my little spacers there. And it gets kind of hairy if you just have hand tools or household tools to make those spacers. I suppose you could do them with a pipe cutter, but it's hard to get a grip on it. So I think I've showed this before, but what I do is I basically just take a piece of wood, I drill a 3/8 hole through it, and then I can run it through the table saw, and it kind of holds it on both sides. Obviously, you can see I got some use out of this, so pretty sacrificial piece. That'll be done soon. One thing that's kind of bizarre, because I don't know, so many lines on the instructions, but I think I figured it out. This one and this one, so on the outside have a shorter, on the outside have a thicker nut, no, a thicker washer and a shorter bolt. My guess is that it's because of this D sub plug, because the instructions do say to put the coax cables on the outside. I had kind of contemplated putting it on the inside because that's where they go, but there must be a reason for it. And that's my guess. I don't think that this one would necessarily interfere. One thing, it's a little concern is that there's no threads showing on the outside, but then again, maybe I just didn't tighten them enough. I just kind of have them sitting there. And that's it. So a bunch of odd stuff. The ignition box is mounted. They're going to go back onto that thing so George can wire it, but at least we know they fit. and the hardware is there, and the holes are drilled in the right spots. And now I'm going to move on to the backup battery bracket. So for the backup battery, I'm just going to put those on with these cushion clamps. And I had this piece of 3x3 aluminum that I ordered, and it's basically gonna, let's see. So unlike my other bracket, this one will just kind of mount into it like that. It'll be no, sorry, that's the one for this side, because we have two batteries, one on this side and one on that side, and that'll be bolted in like that. Right now I'm just finalizing where the mounting holes go and what the design of that's going to be. And I'll probably put some lightning holes in it, because this is pretty stout. And obviously you always want to save weight, but still be strong and safe. Alright, I think I figured out how to use a hole saw in this thick-ass aluminum, and my drill press was going too fast. The little RPM thing said 580 on the lowest, and it was just causing it to chatter. So I got this drill, even though I got to use arm power. I have it in the low gear, and instead of the bow lube, I'm actually using just air tool oil. Slow and strong, and that seems to work pretty well. Just in case anybody else is stupid enough to try and drill a whole bunch of holes in aluminum. But my drill's getting hot. Alright, that was a little bit of a struggle. My poor drill. I just replaced the brushes in it not that long ago. The thing was so hot it was burning my hand. Went through 2 batteries, but got it done, and we saved, I think we started with 8-point-something ounces, and we now have 4. So 4.6. So yeah, saved like 3.5, 4 ounces. Got a little bit of filing to clean these edges up, but most importantly, it looks cool. Kind of looks like an aircraft part. I'm always good at making a mess. A messy workbench is a busy workbench, I guess. I don't know. Trying to make myself feel good. But yeah, so these came out cool. I kind of cleaned them up. The holes are not perfect. I'm supposed if you milled them, they would be much better. But with a hole saw and Dremel and deburring tool and some sandpaper, they are pretty good. So we're going to put a couple of these thread sets on here, nut plates, and the battery can bolt to that, and that can bolt into the plane, and we are done. Look at that. It looks so cool. And it's in there solid. So you got the 4 8/32 screws, flush, riv nuts, nut certs, nut plates, whatever you call them. And then 3 10 size screws, 10/32. I actually use countersunk screws and the locking nuts on that side. So I think that's not going anywhere. What I realized when I started to put this one is that they actually, because the tube is not symmetrical, there's a left and a right, but literally all I have to do is drill another one of these here, and then it can go on either side. So that battery actually goes on this side, but I didn't put the nut certs in this one yet. So I just wanted to see if my mad theory works, but super happy with that. I think it looks cool. And if that doesn't work out, I can put some gauges in it and put it on somebody's Camaro. One last shot for your viewing pleasure. I was so proud of these things. I brought them to work and showed all my guys. That's half the reason, but I have one of those drum sanders, and because this hole wasn't super clean with the hole saw, I just cleaned them up a little bit. I also ended up putting the second hole on either one, so now you can use either one on either side. We have 2 different size batteries. We have the 6 amp going on the left side, and then the 3 amp, but it's the same footprint, it's just half as high. We don't have it yet, at least I hope. That way that can just bolt on there. Also sourced, or I bought on Amazon, haven't come yet, like a little rubber strap to kind of help keep it in as well. I'm not sure if I'll use it, but it's always worth buying new stuff.